David Carrick, a former officer with the Metropolitan Police, was sentenced to life in prison in 2023. His sentencing marked the end of a long and harrowing chapter for his victims and the beginning of a quest for justice and healing. His crimes? A horrific catalog of 49 offenses, including 24 counts of rape, spanning 17 years. These offenses were not isolated incidents, but part of a calculated pattern of abuse and manipulation. Carrick preyed on vulnerable women, using his badge as a shield and a weapon. He exploited his position of power to intimidate and silence his victims, making them feel helpless and alone. The case sent shockwaves through the UK, shaking the public's trust in those meant to safeguard them. The revelations sparked widespread outrage and led to calls for systemic changes within the police force. Carrick's crimes came to light in 2021 when a courageous woman reported him for rape, breaking the silence and prompting a wave of accusations. Her bravery inspired others to come forward, shedding light on the extent of his abuses. The victims, forever scarred by Carrick's actions, bravely stepped forward, demanding justice and accountability. Their testimonies were a powerful reminder of the resilience of the human spirit and the importance of standing up against injustice. The case has become a catalyst for change, highlighting the need for better protections for victims and greater accountability for those in positions of power. The Independent Office for Police Conduct, IOPC, launched an investigation into the Carrick case, unearthing a troubling pattern of missed opportunities and systemic failures within the Metropolitan Police. The investigation revealed that numerous warning signs were ignored over the years. As early as 2002, red flags were raised against Carrick. These early warnings were crucial, yet they were not acted upon. Complaints and allegations of assault and harassment surfaced, casting a shadow over his fitness to serve. Victims and witnesses came forward, hoping for justice and accountability. Yet, these warnings were tragically disregarded. The complaints were often dismissed or not taken seriously, leading to a lack of proper investigation. Investigations were either inadequate or non-existent, allowing Carrick to evade scrutiny. This negligence created an environment where misconduct could thrive unchecked. The IOPC report revealed a litany of failures within the Met's internal disciplinary procedures. These systemic issues highlighted the need for significant reforms. This pervasive culture of complacency allowed Carrick to operate with a sense of untouchability. The lack of accountability and oversight emboldened him, leading to further misconduct. The community's trust in the police was severely damaged. Calls for change grew louder as more details of the case came to light. The Carrick case serves as a stark reminder of the importance of vigilance and accountability in law enforcement. It underscores the need for ongoing reforms to prevent such failures in the future. In the wake of the IOPC investigation, the Metropolitan Police faced intense pressure to hold those responsible for the Carrick failings accountable. Disciplinary proceedings were initiated against 4 officers and 1 staff member. The most serious charge, gross misconduct, was leveled against a detective sergeant. The disciplinary hearings became a focal point for public scrutiny, a test of whether the Met was truly committed to reform. The eyes of the nation were watching, waiting to see if justice, though delayed, would finally be served. The Carrick case sparked a wave of anger and outrage across the UK, eroding public trust in the police. Protests erupted across the country, with people demanding justice for Carrick's victims and voicing their anger at the Met's systemic failures. The case ignited a national conversation about misogyny and violence against women. Carrick's crimes were not simply the actions of one rogue officer, but a symptom of a wider problem. The public's message was clear: enough was enough. It demanded a complete overhaul of the police force to address the deep-seated cultural issues. The Carrick case, while shocking in its brutality, was not an isolated incident. It was a glaring example of deeper, systemic issues within law enforcement agencies. It exposed a pattern of abuse of power, a culture of silence, and a failure to hold officers accountable. This case was a wake-up call, revealing the urgent need for comprehensive reform. The public outcry put immense pressure on the government to act. Citizens demanded transparency, justice, and a complete overhaul of the existing system. The government responded with measures aimed at improving police conduct and accountability. These measures included new policies, enhanced training programs, and stricter oversight mechanisms. These measures included increased scrutiny of police actions and tougher penalties for misconduct. Body cameras were introduced to ensure transparency, and independent review boards were established to investigate complaints. Many argued that these measures did not go far enough, calling for a complete overhaul of the police culture. They believed that without addressing the root causes, true change would remain elusive. Only then could the public truly believe that those sworn to protect them were worthy of their trust. Building trust required not just policy changes, but a fundamental shift in the relationship between law enforcement and the communities they serve.